All right, hey guys. Thanks for tuning in. So, it's really funny. I've been on the Telegram lately and I've noticed that one anomaly that's starting to occur is that different big channels and big personalities are coming into conflict kind of all at the same time. You've got Lynn Wood fighting with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got, I think, Punisher Channel fighting with channels like Apocalypse something. You've got uh, Kim, the real Kim Shady fighting with the authority. And you've just got this big clash amongst the Anons. And it's really interesting that it's happening kind of all at the same time, uh, which brings me to something that I've noticed within the anomaly as well. None of these people are willing to talk directly to each other. They're talking to their audiences about problems that they think they're uh, the other person's doing. For instance, I know like Linwood or Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and was saying that Linwood stole a whole bunch of money from people, donations that were supposed to go to Kyle Rittenhouse. I guess Linwood was supposed to represent Kyle Rittenhouse, and then I guess he got fired for some reason, probably because Linwood has a lot of press, and maybe they're thinking it'll affect the case or something, or maybe there was something else. I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea. And then I guess Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and starts saying Linwood stole all this money, and like she has no idea. So Linwood and Marjorie Taylor Greene have not talked to each other whatsoever. They and then I guess you have like the real Kim Shady. She went and she's said, she's taken a lot of different Anons kind of decodes. If you don't follow the Q thing, then you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. You could just turn it off, don't worry about it, or you could listen and kind of hear what's going on within the people that are trying to kind of pay attention and follow along what's going on. So I guess the real Kim Shady takes the decodes that other Anons have done and kind of puts her commentary on it. And I guess she's spending a lot of time doing that. And then so I guess she's opened up a donation channel and or some platform where she could get donations. I think we saw that it was like $12,000 or something, and then you're gonna see that that's what she's brought in, you know, for herself, and for she's asked, I'm working hard, I'm looking at this, to find the decodes and the commentary and everything else. Can you, you know, uh, can you do you guys want to donate to me and help me kind of live? And then I guess you have I guess she said something mean to the Authority channel, or the Authority channel, kind of noticed that she's taking in donations, but she's taken his, I guess, his decodes or something. And I just kind of briefly went over it. So, but I don't think that they've spoken to each other. And maybe I'm a little bit naive, but it's difficult. So, when the world when the way that the feds and the government have decided to kind of take down the population with their parasites, they you have these people that they lost their resources for survival, right? The resources that they've come to depend on and come to kind of get used to. So they're losing their jobs, which bring in the income, and they take that income and they go buy things like food, or maybe they have a car payment. I've, for instance, lost everything. I lost my condo, I lost my vehicle, I lost my job. It was the day that I was gonna buy a house that I lost everything. So I know what it's like, and I've been so fortunate. Look, I I've kind of been a vagrant, and I've stumbled upon really wonderful people who have put me up, or and I've had a couple people that sent me money saying, hey, I know you have a storage unit that has like your kid's toys and his stuff in it, and I know that you're on the verge of losing it, so how about I give you a couple bucks, and you go ahead and pay for that. And it was so nice. And so it's just been that I've been able to pay for like a storage unit, and I've been able to pay for um well, just that. And then everything, I'm getting is just, here, do you need that? Here, you can have this. And you know whatever. I got like clothes, like this clothes. There's an old lady who passed away. I only have like a couple t-shirts, and her sister brought over like bags of clothes that they were getting rid of, and I got a couple shirts, and a couple pairs of socks. And so, I've been fortunate to stumble across the things that I need. So these people are losing everything, and they're trying to figure out how can they get their resources. And I think some are going to be asking like, can anybody give me some kindness or a donation or something? And $12,000, like, that's a lot of money. That's awesome. I don't know. I know that one thing that operatives do is that they will kind of infiltrate a grassroots movement. And let's say that if the movement's already accepting donations and it's gained some traction, they'll come in and they'll kind of infiltrate, and then they'll take the money and they'll use that money to kind of further their agenda, infiltrating a movement. So that's really tragic, and it's very predatorial that they do that. And then sometimes people will raise money on behalf of what seems to be a movement or something kind, but they'll be using it for nefarious purposes, or they won't need it at all, and they'll try to take away from others. So there's something going on with the money, but what's interesting is that we're seeing this conflict, and we're not seeing anybody speaking to each other, really. They're not like contacting each other. And then I think when one contacts the other, it'll be the more, because you'll notice that usually the better of the people will contact the other one. And the one you always know that the one that's more nefarious is the one that says, "Oh, I don't have time for you. I don't have to talk to you about anything. I don't, and they have time to, they definitely have time to talk to their fan base about the issue, right? And then the fan base, instead of paying attention to, I don't know, what they could do as people or what have you, that each side starts asking for loyalty to the characters instead of to what's happening or what's going on. And so you find like a solicitation of loyalty to a man or a woman, like a character. And this is how they're able to use the identity politics to pull away from what you could be doing, what you could be paying attention to, and everything else. And then you'll see that the polarization that starts to happen. Like, I think there was a channel that said, who do you think is in the right? Is it Linwood or Marjorie Taylor Greene? And so there was a poll, and so you'll see like a polarity and a divide. And of course you have a politician versus a lawyer. So I think somebody put that into one of the comments under the poll. You have a politician versus a lawyer. Like, that's a good point. And then you have of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she seems to be doing good things, but then there were other people who were like, hey, I've tried to contact her before, and she doesn't, unless you bring her a lot of money, she doesn't do anything. She won't pay any attention to you. She doesn't care about her constituents past the wallet. So, but, it's interesting. Lynn Wood has actually gotten onto Telegram and talked to us as people, but Marjorie Taylor Greene has never done that. She's only done it on TV. So, or maybe in the courthouse or or at rallies, right? Events where she's being paid to do so. Lynn Wood also speaks at events where he's being paid and taking donations to do so. And again, he's a lawyer. So it's like, who are you siding with? So then you get to see a log of the polarization. So you have, oh, this is Team Marjorie Taylor and this is Team Lynn Wood. By all means, they could probably be on the same team, because it seemed like in the beginning they were for the same stuff. So are they on the same team and this is a nefarious thing where they're like, hey, look over here. Oh, look, we're fighting. We're Anons that are fighting. Pay attention to us fighting. Okay, now that you've chosen who the identity politics that you want to go with, now you guys can go in your little groups and argue and fight amongst each other. And this is kind of like, I believe it's a COINTELPRO move where you basically polarize it and get them to divide and not pay attention. But I think a big lesson that can be taken out of this, so that we're not really falling down in a way that we're being divided, I think we can take away some conflict resolution skills. So when you have a conflict with somebody, and if they're not just a narcissistic piece of shit, you can contact them and you could say, hey, so I've seen this and I have a conflict with it. Here's the resolution that I would like to get to. Or maybe you could clarify, am I saying something wrong, or is this what's really happening? And then I do have a problem, and can we talk through this and maybe resolve our issue? Because here's where it's going to become a problem. If you're stealing money from people, that's unethical, it's deceitful, and if you're not using the money for something good in the world, and that's what it's supposed to be going to, there's a term called patriots, and so they basically have found a way to profit off of the movement. And so while that's good and all, if they are misleading, it's not good. You have very nefarious channels within the Anon movement. 𝐏𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐭𝐀𝐬𝐡𝐑𝐄 is one of them. So 𝐏𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐭𝐀𝐬𝐡𝐑𝐄 is like a Nazi sympathizing channel. What he was doing at first is he was pulling people in, and then he was saying, he would basically pull people into the Anon movement, and then he would say, oh, by the way, we've never been to the moon because the earth is flat, and once he gets you to believe that the earth is flat, he says, by the way, everything that you think is real isn't real. And Hitler was a good guy. And so we really want you guys to know that Nazis are good people. And then he says that he wants to schmixmerminate the Jews. What the fuck? Right? I know what you're saying. So this is like, people think that was like Ezra Cohen whatever, but it's not. He basically wants to rope people in, become like a trusted channel, and then he's part of like the corporate media. The corporate media has an agenda where they wanted to prove that white supremacy was a very big problem. And so since it wasn't a big problem, how can we game it? How can we make it a problem and make it a game and make it fun for people? So we're going to get somebody that they trust. We're going to make a character. We're going to make this character trustworthy by making them give a lot of information, a lot of red pills that we're willing to give up. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to make them Nazis so that we can monitor those who are new and coming in and getting their information here, and then we're going to tell them, oh yeah, by the way, let's exterminate Jews. Like, that's not really, and really only stupid, like the most stupid fall for it. And they're like, oh, well, he says that, so maybe he's a little crazy, so maybe we'll just follow some of it. And then he's got a lot of bots on the channel, so like, let's say that you're like new and you're like, wait a second, this is a good conversation, I'm gonna get in on it, and they're gonna have to hear like how that's not the case, like he's bad, like what he's saying is bad, like why are we hailing Hitler on that channel? Well, if you're intelligent, then he's like an opposition channel. Like, he's a bad guy. He's very nefarious. So if you were to get in and try to engage, you'll be kicked out of the channel because they know like you're too smart to be in, and then two, before you get kicked out, they'll send you like a whole bunch of these little. They've got like a dude, he's got like a big nose, and like his little hands are like this, and then he's got like a weird thing on his face, and so it looks like screenshot that moment. But and so the idea is to kind of heckle you into feeling bad for being a humane person, and so that they could prove that there's a white supremacy movement, anti-Semitic movement who's trying to genocide minorities. And by all means, they are making way to convince people, but a lot of the people are just bots, and a lot of them kind of are like, whoa, wait a second. And then they get out of it. But the conflict resolution that needs to occur is people. I'm just gonna like go back. Like, there are some bad channels. That's another thing that I wanna put out there. There are some bad channels on Telegram. Telegram's not like Facebook, where it's made to control the conversation, and then kind of get you to admit, and there's like GPSs that say where you're at and everything else. Telegram's more open source, and the conversation's more organic because you can't just like and scroll by. You might be able to put a sticker up, but people can engage with you, and then you could see that you're being engaged with. And then but you do have channels like I remember like in the beginning there was a really cool channel called The Punisher, and so we were able to like go in that channel, and they had some really good information and really good discussion. But now you have like what's called forum sliders, and so like if you were to like add something to the conversation, there would have like there's like, I think Humes, Andrew R. Humes is one of them, that'll go and like post like 10 posts at the same time, and then you won't be able to see and nobody will be able to engage with you because they'll just slide it way up, and then they'll have like their posts with the pictures, and you won't ever be able to have like organic conversations where you can organize with each other and make new friends and get to learn about things, different perspectives, and actually communicate. And then they're able to kind of like repush and repush and repush. I think the same thing happened to the Forecast 432 channel, which that channel owner was awesome too, and something happened there. But something happens when you want to create a lot of followers, and then in order to get those followers, you're gonna have to have people like constantly posting content. And then I think another thing that happened, what was it? I think in the beginning there was a lady named Mercedes who went in and she would like try to push the flat earth Nazi agenda on the channels, and she ended up like getting admin status. I guess she had like a really pretty voice, and so a lot of the channels are like, hey, let's put her in, and people will listen, and then she'll say whatever she wants, but we'll get popular. And then one of the things that they do is a full channel takeover Mercedes was a bad one. 𝐏𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐭𝐀𝐬𝐡 is a really bad one. You'll see her on a lot of the big channels, engaging with the people. I noticed her when like Free the Will Patriots channel came out, kind of by Machiavelli, and we had a really good rapport. And then I think like I posted something because they were talking about this Russian guy died in Detroit. And then I was like, oh, hold on, let me find. So I had to find a Russian, like a magazine or whatever. And then that had explained exactly who it was, why he died, and everything else. And then I had to post it, and I said, hey, I had to translate this. Here's the exact link where I got it, and it populates the link. And then I was like, here's what I did. I went onto this place to find it. Pre-search was the search engine that I was using, and then I used this to pull the link from pre-search to Google search engine so that I could translate it to English. So I give directions, and she was immediately like, oh, you're a spammer, you're banned. And so, like I said, talk to each other. So I said, hi, I've been banned from the channel. I'd like to know why so that I could rectify whatever. And she's like, spamming, it's just not tolerated whatsoever. And it's like, okay, well, I have never once spammed a channel. I know that what I did do was post the source that I got some information. You guys said that somebody passed away, but I got the information about how they passed away, and I cited the source. And I also noticed, because it is a Russian guy, I had to translate that. And so here were the directions. And so like I explained that to her. But as you know that they're nefarious because they will not talk to you. They have a goal. The goal is full takeover, and the goal is to infiltrate, and the goal is to this. So even contacting, what'll happen is, because these operatives or like the more nefarious characters will come in to take over, they'll give the channel owner a lot of attention, they'll butter them up, and then they'll make sure that the movement stays, the way that they want it to be. And they have certain information that they don't want the public to know. 𝐏𝐥𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐭𝐀𝐬𝐡 is really bad about that. So I think like you'll see her on, shoot, I wish I had a list of all the channels where she puts in a lot. But that's a really good one if you kind of want to pay attention and see what I'm talking about. In the beginning, there was one called Resistance Worldwide, right? So they made this channel to kind of, because I think a lot of us, when we came onto Telegram for the first time, Disclosed TV had a chat. They had a voice chat. And so you could have like 200 or 300 people talking to each other. It's like a walkie-talkie, and you hold down the mic and then you let it go when somebody else is speaking, and everybody was very civil. But I remember like it was like from 8:45 to 10 p.m. We called it the witching hour, and that's when the like the popular magazines or the news people would come in, and they would put kind of different operatives that would come in and say like the N-word like 10 times, or they would be like, hey, what about the earth is flat and Nazis? Nazis are good. And then so they'd be like, oh, we know who's trying to control us because they won't let us talk about how we love mass genocide, and we should be able to have that because that's freedom of speech. And it's like, your freedom of speech stops when people they just don't want you to, they don't want to talk to you. So just shut up or get out or go somewhere else and talk about it. Like we didn't want to hear, like we were in a channel where we were talking about like current events. We didn't want to hear about Nazis, and then what they would do is they would record and put it onto the news and be like, oh look, anybody who's on Telegram is a white supremacist, but like it's literally them that are white supremacists, the news anchors and the feds and everybody else that were white supremacists or posing as white supremacists so that they could have their own conversations and then make it look like it was the people that were just there. Really, really bad stuff. So you have this, but you don't have, oh yeah, it was Resistance Worldwide. This was a really funny one. So he started a channel, and I guess he was soliciting the girls. They were actually, he didn't start it. The original owner was Sausage Rolls, really cool guy. I think the night before everything went down, because he started banning men from the channel, the Resistance Worldwide channel, and I guess like Sausage Rolls was on vacation, and then he just wasn't monitoring what the admin was doing. The admin was called D-Bar. And so this guy went in and started nuking the channel and getting out all these guys. And before, people would be like, hey, Planet, why was I banned from the channel? Can you find out? And I was never an admin. I didn't really want to be an admin because I don't really have like the strong arm of authority, and I'm not going to do like, I was the admin of a couple channels. I'll get into that in a minute because I'm going to see if I can follow a line of thought. So, D-Bar, I went in the middle of the channel because I think when you do this, you should have some transparency and people should kind of understand what they've done wrong. So I said, hey, we've got, these people, they're banned and they want to understand why, know if they can fix it, or just understand so maybe they could have more caution next time. And I didn't ask. I said, admins and channel owners, please let these characters know why they're banned when you ban them, and send them a message or what have you. Have mindfulness when you do these actions, because this is where their friends are, this is where they're getting information, this is where they're engaging with people. So I think it's important to know that sometimes on the other end of the screen is a real person with real feelings that is having a real moment and is having education. They're getting an education, or they're trying to discern what's going on in the world, and this is one of the only places that they're able to get this kind of engagement. So the guy was like, yeah, no, we're trying to make this a new feminist channel. And I was like, what? That's pretty, like, not what we're doing here, but okay. So, and then I found out that Sausage Rolls on the channel, and he was like, sounds like that guy's pretty much nuked my channel. I might just sign over ownership. And then the guy ends up like completely nuking the channel. They make a new channel called I think it was what was it called? I think it was like Punchbowl or Escape Hatch or something, or yeah. And then it got really good from there. I think like The Wall, and I think everybody tried to kind of contact that guy D-Bar, and he was not having it. He was like, I'm not talking to anybody. He actually even told Sausage Rolls not to talk to me while I was talking to Sausage Rolls about it. He was like, he just sent me a message telling me not to talk to you until I talk to you. And I was just like, or until I talk to him. And I was like, well, we're talking, so I'm a little late for that. But you'll see, like, so I'm not nefarious. I can have these conversations with these people and say, hey, this is a scenario. Do you think we could fix it? Or do you think that these people just need to cut their ties or what have you? But you do have these nefarious characters who have an agenda, and they will not, their goal is to not talk to anybody except for about that agenda. And they will butter up and get people on their side, and they'll play identity politics, and they'll kind of exploit people's need for validation and need for channel subscribers, because you want to have subscribers, because the more subscribers you have, the more that you could get the truth out there, if the truth is what you're putting out, or you have more people to discuss it with. But manufactured consensus is, I think that's something that we really should kind of pay attention to, right? You don't want to manufacture consensus. It's not real. It's not, if you say like, 99 people agree this, and that, and like 80 of them are bots, they're not real. They come from bot farms. and they're just forum sliding, then you really aren't talking to people, you're talking to just bots. And then it's a lie, it's an illusion. I think a lot that we have is an illusion, a lot that's online. So you be careful for those. But you can find in the larger channels some smaller channels, and not that you have to find a smaller channel. There's some really large channels that are really, really interesting and really engaging. And they might even have bot style admins that are able to kind of tailor the conversation. I know there's a really good channel. They have a bot in there. If anybody from that channel is listening, they're gonna know whose channel I'm talking about, but their bot's super kinky. Like, if you post a picture, like a scientific picture diagram, and it's got blood cells, it thinks that those blood cells are nipples, and it'll kick you out of the channel for putting porn in. And it'll be like, it's a blood cell, it's not a nipple, and I'm not sharing porn. So, it's like a little vampire bot. Yeah, so thanks for listening to my talk. Talk to each other. If you have a conflict, the worst thing that can happen when you address somebody is they could say, no, I don't want to talk to you. If you've hurt them in a way, you need to give them an apology if you knew and you feel bad about hurting them. But another thing that I want to, I should probably mention, when you have a conflict that you cannot resolve, sometimes people have already made you the villain, right? There's a channel, I think it's like Dreamer something, and then there was a guy who really liked being in that channel, and I think the lady that owned the channel she misunderstood something. I'm pretty sure she misunderstood something that this gentleman was talking about. And I guess she kicked him out. And again, people come up to me, can you find out why I've been kicked out? Is there anything I can do? What have you? And I said, I'd love to bridge this gap for the two of you. I contacted her. I'd love to bridge this gap for the two of you. I would love for you guys to handle this miscommunication. What can I do? Can you guys talk to each other? Trying to at least get them to talk to each other, right? And then, she's like, hey, actually, it's really nice that you reached out. And I'm like, thank you. So you guys got it covered. So here's what, let me know when you guys have talked, because they're going to ask me and I'm not going to know. And just, can I let them know that you're going to talk to them? So I say, they're going to tell the guy that she's going to talk to you. And then, I think he sees her leave a group I'm hosting, and I tried to delete it so it wouldn't cause a problem, because he's been sitting there trying to guess day in and day out what the problem has been, and I know what the problem is the whole time, and I can't say anything because I said I wouldn't. But now it's, it was agreed, I think 3 days, and there was supposed to be some contact about 2 weeks later, and there was no contact. And and I messaged her and I say, hey, it's starting to get he's starting to have really hurt feelings and everything else, and I'm I know that you have chosen not to take the opportunity to speak to him. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let him know. And then if you want to talk to each other after or what have you, we'll go from there. Because at this point, she's not speaking to me. So I let him know, and turns out it's a complete miscommunication, because then he's able to talk to me, and I've heard from her and I've heard from him, and I know both of them. And but then here's how much time has elapsed. I think she at this point has said so many mean things, probably to an entire audience, about how this character had to be removed, and maybe she felt victimized, or the victimization could be a potential threat or something. And now in the consciousness of people feel like this, she's created she's demonized somebody. She's created a bad guy, and the bad guy hasn't had a chance to Oh, somebody's pulling up. The bad guy hasn't had a chance to. Nobody's talking to that. They're enamored by the heroic story of who's the good guy, and so the bad guy is just. It's made up. They can't, but they're human. Everybody in your life is going to disappoint you, let you down, and piss you off at some point. If you know them long enough, it's gonna happen. But um, if you make them an infamous bad guy character, and you don't take the time to speak, then, and if they're not, and if it was from a miscommunication, and you protect that status, then you are the bad guy. And I know that's hard to understand or admit, but just because somebody's wronged you doesn't mean that you guys can come to an agreement or come to communicate and solve that problem, or maybe, work together. So in this movement, we're going to find probably a lot more conflicts occurring. These conflicts, these people should talk to each other, but we're probably gonna be able to see here soon how the reason why some people who will not talk to each other are not doing so because the one who refuses to speak is they're not what they say they are, and it'll be really hard to choke down. Like, I know this last couple years there's been a lot of like movie stars and musicians and people who I absolutely adored, and to hear how nefarious they were being with their belief systems. I mean, I didn't vote for Trump, and I know the election was rigged. I didn't vote for Biden either, though. Okay, so don't even get on with me. So oh God, I'm gonna have to clip that out, aren't I? It was there's something about it. So if I get my channel taken down again, I'm gonna be so annoyed. But I'll just let it happen, and I'll just go in my Telegram channel and I'll post some stuff there. I guess I could upload some stuff to Patreon, but you actually have to have like a video platform to post on Patreon. I thought that you could directly post on Patreon, but you can't. Yeah. Anyway, talk to each other. Here's a good way to solve conflicts. This is the very end. So maybe somebody like watches and rewinds all the way to the end. Maybe somebody watches it and they're like, what's the juice about Telegram? Like, what's going on? Or I don't want to get on Telegram because it's so, because you've told me about all the drama here. No, you should get off you should just get Telegram. You get more, like, when you guys on the corporate media talk to me about what's going on in the world, I'm like, you guys are so far behind. Like, I'd say, like, you don't even know why. I can't even, like, I hear some, I watch some other channels and stuff that are mainstream, and they don't know what's going on. And they'll be talking about, like, why they think something's going on, and I'll have already known. And I'll just be like, do I do I divulge this or no? Do I like tell them or bring them up to speed or tell them why? Or do I not? Maybe I just give them a little bit and see, or maybe I just be quiet for a little bit. So, when you are in a conflict, it is good if you notice the conflict. Here's what's occurring. We are fighting. This is what I would like to occur. Okay, I would like for us to be getting along. What are the barriers to that, and what are the steps to getting over those? And then you go talk to that person and say, hey, every time you go out the door, the door is open and then bugs get in. I don't want bugs in the house anymore. So I would like it when you come through the door, just close the door. And there's people who are just, nobody ever changes. Nobody's going to close the door. I shouldn't even have to tell them. They should just shut up. No. Talk to each other. Nobody should. It's so eccentric and unique and whatever. You have to tell people what you want from them. Don't assume that they should be this way or that they should know. People have been raised in all different ways. People have their priorities in all different places, and you have to let them know what you want and what would solve the problem that you're having or that you guys are having together that they don't know about, and you should tell them right away what you want out of this. Okay, I think you're stealing money. Are you stealing money? Yes, no, they're not. They're, of course, nobody's ever going to say they're stealing. Can you prove it? Like, what are you doing with it? Ask them what they're doing. Maybe you don't have to, whatever. Here's the solution to the problem or what you would like to see take place. And all the steps that you should do to get there. And when you have a conversation, it can be in this format, and then you won't have these issues. You won't have them. It'll be fine. And you'll find more peace with the conflict that you've been avoiding. If somebody just wants to tell you to fuck off and piss off, then you can just stop talking to them and be like, they told me to fuck off and piss off. Fuck them. You know, I tried to solve this problem. If you're a good person, if you're genuine and you're honest and you're trustworthy and you're not dumb, you should be able to handle problems like this. You can't be discarding each other like disposable razors if you're valuable people. I know I'm just a little guy, whatever. But the only time I discard somebody like a disposable razor if they go out of their way to hurt me. Now, if you have gone out of your way to hurt somebody and they come to you and say, hey, that hurt, and then you want to say, okay, well, I apologize, and then you want to tell your fan base, hey, I apologize, I actually hurt them, here's what we talked about, here's what we came to, and this is what we're going to do. You guys can rebuild what you've lost, or you can start to build. Sometimes the most amazing friendships have started as like these enemies. I've actually seen the most successful marriages come out of that. Like some of the ones I'm like, oh my God, you guys used to like hate each other like that on the radio. You were radio stars and you just, and then, or like you have like, you do have some of this where like people have like they develop a bromance and like they're just the bestest buddies. Now they go fishing, or you have, you know, so you can resolve these conflicts. You can work together if you guys have a similar direction that you're looking to go in, and it's just a matter of fan base loyalty. The fans are not going to be on one channel all the time. So it should be okay if you guys have channels that are similar, because you can, you know, like there are people who like me. I only have a few people that like me, right? Like, comment, subscribe, and like me. Like, I can't even get any sort of whatever until I get 1,000 followers. What is it called? Monetization. Till I get 1,000 followers. So I think I have like 72. So share my stuff, even though it's really boring. But you have people who like me, but they like other people. And that's totally fine. Totally fine. They can look at other people. Nobody watches the same show and only that show. And if they do, they're just not a big show watcher. You wouldn't come to them for show watching advice because you already know they're going to be excited to tell you about that one. So I think I've been able to babble for 44 minutes, and it probably hasn't been as like, so, you know, I was thinking, and then this is how it is. Hopefully I brought a little bit more spirit to this episode, and maybe you guys are going to understand a little bit more about conflict resolution and the possibilities behind it, and why it causes divide, and how to see who is the nefarious party when you guys are having conflict. some of you who are watching this are the nefarious party, and you're going to want to defend that guy. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I know that if you're not genuine and you're deceitful and deceptive and you are hiding from people the truth and you're causing fires and that's what you seek to do, and then you won't speak about it, and you're just a shame-based personality, you're just not good. That's all it is. And I'm not fucking, I don't care about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I'll watch your stuff, maybe you'll entertain me, maybe, whatever. But if you're bad people, you're just bad people. It doesn't matter. Like, maybe you'll come around or maybe you don't. We'll talk to you then. But I don't care. Anyway, and if you're the bad guy and you're like, whoa, I have been being the bad guy, like, I'm not being humane to humans, and they're humane, they're not perfect, like, I don't want to, you could hold people to an impossible standard with your identity politics, but that's what it is. It's identity politics. You're just trying to win people over by taking them away from here. You guys could both have the same amount of people. I mean, you could have the same people, like, love you. You don't have to attack each other. But if you want, just remember, you're not helping whatever you're doing when you're making up your own fights. Does that make any sense? I don't know. All right.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello?